What up, what up, what up? Welcome to the Pharmacy Seeds Network live stream. It's Tuesday night. It's almost 9:30. We're going to do the Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net. I want to say a special thanks to Homesteading the Hard Way and Monkey Man YSD123. Homesteading for asking people to hit that like button. Much appreciated. And Monkey Man for all the excellent information you're talking about there. Alan Savory, permaculture, early retirement extreme, the Wim Hof method, the carnivore diet, floor sleeping, and barefoot running. Beautiful. Very on point. Oh, let's see. We've got about 1 minute before we start the radio net. And I just want to make sure the stream came up live okay. Everything seems alright. I think I'll have a sip of coffee. Get out my logbook. I don't know if I ever showed you guys my beat up logbook for the radio log, but keep track of all of the Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net sessions in here. Make a few notations here and there. You can see it's all logged in the logbook. But anyway, today is the 25th, 6/25. 2019. And we're going to go ahead and get this party started. Thanks for watching the Pharmacy Seeds Network. This is KD2IIN Net Control for the Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net. Farmers and Gardeners Net is a net dedicated to farming and gardening. Big coincidence expectation. And we just sit here and we talk about farming and gardening, and we talk about building plant nutrition and soil health and human health and all sorts of topics related to that. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, don't be afraid to speak up, throw your call sign out. This is KD2IIN Net Control for the Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net. We're starting the net now. If there are any check-ins, please call now. Hello, Geeky. Net recognizes KD2RFI. Bob, how are you tonight?
Doing good. Good evening. I'm glad to finally make one. I think it's been a couple weeks.
I think it has. I think you did jump in quick. Was it last week, maybe? Yeah, you did jump in quick last week. But, yeah, how are you? How are things? I'm sure you're busy.
Well, actually, it's kind of slowed down a little for me. Not that I have a lack of things to do. It's I just took a vacation, so I've been off work and just kind of took a step back, slowed down, done a few things that I've wanted to do. But you know, as you know, every once in a while something pops up you have to take care of. So overall, bees are good. Chickens are good. I've had no losses from predators this year as of yet, which is really good. I do have a couple of black snakes roaming around that evidently like the eggs just as much as I do, so we pretty much compete every day to go out and see who gets them first.
Audio okay, people?
I got a couple video clips of them I posted on social media, but no place else yet. And also I'll be, it's not farming related, but I'll be posting another video this evening of the family day we had last year. Me and my daughters, so that'll be coming out.
Okay, good. Thank you, Homesteading.
Probably after I'm done with the net, I gotta go up and just okay and do the thumbnail and all and post it up.
Fantastic. I'll be interested in checking that out. And thanks for sharing that bee swarm video from last week. I did put that on the bottom of the live stream. For those who are watching the live stream now and didn't see Bob's video on his swarm capture, you should go check that out. That was an interesting video. So thanks for sharing that, Bob. I just want to do a real quick pause here and see if there's any other check-ins at the moment. This is KD2IIN Net Control for the Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net. If there are any further check-ins, please call now. That's a no. Fantastic. Well, yeah, it's good, Bob, to slow down and take a vacation every so often. I rarely take any time off, but every once in a while I'll just take a day and just go enjoy being in the woods. I don't have a lot of money to go on big expensive vacations or take a lot of time off, but sometimes just one day, gives you a chance to refocus and reset, and really helps you keep your sanity.
Yeah, no doubt sanity is a big thing. So definitely pays to take some time off. My biggest problem with taking time off, just like you said, is the funds, and I find I spend way too much money when I'm off. Much better earning it. Spend it a heck of a lot faster than I can earn it. But the only other thing I got going on right now is I cleaned out part of the chicken coop and transferred some of the old shavings and compost over to the garden. There's probably a lot more in there I could take out, but I didn't want to take too much out. I wanted to keep some in there to keep breaking down when I put the new shavings on, and we'll take some more out in the spring and keep adding to the new garden plot. So that's starting to slowly take form. I got to get some cedar logs that I have laying down in the woods right now. And
I'm nowhere near done homesteading.
Them up, and I'll use them as a rudimentary border for the garden. And I got a total of 82 chickens in my basement right now. Young chickens that are ready to go outside. I'll probably be doing that this weekend probably. I'll be keeping 42 of them, and the other 40 will be going off to a friend's house who we split the order. So, yeah, we're on vacation. Like I said, there's some things that just have to get done.
Yeah, me too, geeky. All right, interesting. Well, that's fantastic, and glad to hear those are coming along well, and that they're sounds like they're reaching pullet size, so that's good. Glad you're getting manure down in the garden from the chicken coop, and I hear you about leaving some in there and keeping that all those biological processes cooking, so when you add new, it doesn't slow down too much. I know that's the one thing. Even a vacation day, I still got to feed chickens. I still got to make sure plants in the greenhouse are watered. If there's any plants in the greenhouse, there's lots of little chore things, but it's nice still to take a day and just push everything off a bit. It's just refocus. But it's also hard to do. There's always so many pressing things, especially this time of year.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I got a list a mile long, and I keep looking at it, and, sitting on the table. I got, actually, when I bought this house 5 years ago, there was a outdoor swing set up, and it's made out of cedar posts driven to the ground, a couple cedar log cross members supporting it, and had vines growing up around it and everything. It looks really nice. I do not know what type of vines they are, but they just spread like wildfire. I mean, they're popping up all over my lawn right now. So I'm going to wind up taking the tractor. I got to pull the post out, cut the whole thing apart, get the swing out of there, pull the post out of the ground, and as best I can pull that vining plant out. And I'll probably, once my box blade comes in, I'll be probably leveling the ground and gouging up with the scarifiers on the box blade, and try and rip out as much of the root system as I can, hopefully. It's an incredible amount of invasive vine type plant. Looks great, looks beautiful on display, honestly. The other one there, but it's spreading way too fast.
Okay, I don't know if you can get in there with a riding mower or something, but that might be an easier way to tame that. We have some pretty invasive vines here on this property, and I find if you mow it every couple weeks or once a month, after a year or two, it just doesn't keep trying to come back. I think I know the stuff you're talking about, kind of rounded leaves with sort of a pointed tip, and just super aggressive growth. They will grow like, a couple of feet in like a month.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's right now it's sprouting out along the ground.
Yes, exactly, monkey.
Every time I cut it out or pull up the roots, and it's in an area I mow every year, so it's constantly being mowed. But it's still, it seems like if a plant will pop up, I mow it
insurgent vines, so to speak. Yeah. Well, excuse me. One suggestion here on the YouTube channel from the permaculture side of things is plant something else there that will replace it. But that stuff is super aggressive, so I don't know what you would put in. You could mow it real short and then till it and then plant something in there. That might work. But yeah, I hear you. Hard to conquer stuff like that when it gets going. Let's just pause here and see if there's any further check-ins before we carry on. This is KD2 Net Control for the Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net. If there are any further check-ins, please call now. Please, grapes, vining beans, and peas. Will do. Alright, no further check-ins recognized. And another comment back from Monkeyman WazD123 says, mention to him please grapes, vining beans, and peas as far as replacement crops for it. So that might be something to consider. Yeah, if you could get a grapevine growing that aggressive, boy, you'd have more wine than you could take vacation days for.
Copy that. With that much wine, I would need a few vacation days. And yeah, that's one of the things I've thought about. When I did buy this place, there was a small grapevine out there, but it had like one bundle of grapes on it, and the very next year it died, so obviously wasn't being kept. But it was, I thought about doing some more grapevines. Maybe once we get that garden up and running, I might put some vines along the edge, see what we can do. I grew up and my parents made wine, and it was nice. Of course, now I got the honeybees. Now I can also make myself a little mead. So between the mead, the wine, and the bourbon on the shelf, I'm all right.
You won't know what direction's up if you keep that up. Yeah, I've only had mead like once or twice, but man, that stuff is delicious, and I'd love to make some mead. What I really want to make, if I can get around to getting propagation going for my parents' blueberry bushes, is a blueberry mead. I think that would be spectacular. That was definitely one of my back of the mind motivations for getting honeybees and having honey, was for making mead, because it's just way too expensive to buy it for mead. But man, oh, what an excellent treat! And you can make so many medicinal like beverages that are really tasty besides.
Yeah, that's
pumpkins. That's a good one.
Sounds wonderful. Or even like blueberry wine, that'd be nice. That'd be almost worth the trip up to Maine. You can get fresh blueberries. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I've never had mead. I would love to try it.
I'm on TV again. Uh-oh.
I get about 30, 35 gallons of honey a year on average. So I definitely have the resources for it. I just don't have the know-how. So I keep saying I'm going to learn how to do it sooner or later. And I guess it's not much harder than wine, really. Pretty much the same principle. So I'll definitely get going on that sometime in the near future.
Hey, Beaver Creek, what's going on?
Speaking of the bees and whatnot, I did have to shut down one colony. I had 1 week colony that was going, and once I got looking in through it, I could not find a queen, but there was a laying worker in there, a drone layer, so pretty much I ended up just dumping out the whole box, and we'll have to do a split on one of the other hives, but we are getting late in the season for a split, so might be able to do it, but we'll see. I'm comparing them with some of my resource hives and see if I can split them off if it's not too late. That should give them a nice base to start with, and hopefully they'll continue on through the winter.
All right, very good, interesting. Well, can't have a win all the time. Let's see. I wanted to go back to had a comment here from YouTube, which I think is a fantastic idea. Pumpkins and corn and squash and that kind of stuff could dominate out that vine. So maybe that's something to look at too. If you planted corn and pumpkins dense in there and got them, started, they would dominate that space and keep that vine down. So that's a thought. Back to the bees. Yeah, fantastic. My middle hive is just rock, and that whole thing was bearded up. completely today. The whole bottom super was bearded up with bees, and they were just in and out of there at full bore today. So I can't wait. I'm gonna open that up again another maybe end of the week or early next week and have a look and see if they're starting to put any honey in that top super I put in, or at least see if they're drawing the comb out. So that's exciting.
Oh, very nice, very nice. Yeah, I got one or two hives that are really, similar situation. The one, yesterday, all through those thunderstorms, and 1 and 2, the entire front of the hive has 2 deep supers and 1 honey super on top. The entire face of the hive was just a massive beard of bees. So, I'm not sure if they're getting ready to do a late swarm, or if it's just, with the weather and humidity, they're just getting outside to try and cool off and dehumidify the hive a little.
Yeah.
So,
Microphone to the radio.
Keep an eye on them.
It slides off and
It's actually,
falls.
that hive
Need
is
a click.
actually a wild colony I caught about 3 years ago. And the day I, put it in boxes, I removed it out of somebody's house, and, put it in my boxes. The day I put it in, it has been done nothing but been spectacular. It's great, very docile bees, very easy to work with, and fantastic honey producers. They're one of my best producing hives out of all my hives.
The brick, there you go. Yeah, that's awesome, and I'm hoping that this hive of mine is doing the same. The other two are, cruising along pretty good, but that one, just the activity is just like, I went over there and looked at it today, and was almost scared to go too close to it. I was like, man, they're just cranking. I'm not like mistaking that for like some other thing going on. I just watched them for a little bit and was like, no, they're just happy pulling resources at full speed. So that's exciting. Definitely hot and humid out today. I was thinking about it as I was watching them, and yeah, I could see why they want to come out of the hive and cool off, and why they wanted to be pumping a ton of air through there, because man, it was hot outside. Even not in the sun, it was hot and humid. I can't imagine being in a beehive with thousands of other bees producing heat. So yeah, let's just do another quick opportunity for check-ins here. This is KD2 and Net Control from Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net. If there are any further check-ins, please call now. No further check-ins recognized at this time. All right. Let's see. Unedible biomass. Guys talking about using cattle, pigs, sheep, and goats as a way to handle that that vine issue. Goats actually would be an excellent way to do that. They would take that right out.
Oh, affirmative, yes. And I know we were talking about that not so long ago too. I am definitely toying with the idea of getting myself some goats. We talked about having a rocky structure for them to climb on, and not only from climb on, but help keep their hooves in check and well manicured.
Hi, Robin.
So it's definitely one of consideration I was thinking about. But honestly, I'd probably do them for meat. I'd probably do some meat goats. I got a friend of mine. He's Jamaican. And
that's right. We
brought
talked
me
about
some
that.
fantastic dishes his wife has cooked. Just really, really good eating. It's good meat. So definitely that's one of the other things I may be getting into here in a year or so. So man, let me tell you right now, I have my absolute hands full right now. I inadvertently, I don't know if I told you last week, I had me and the family had gone skydiving last year, and I did nothing but think about it all year. And, long story short, I'm now a skydiving student. I got a couple more jumps, and then I'll be able to do it on my own without an instructor going out with me. So it's just, and that's just one of the things I do. The more I try, and the more things I experience, the more I like, and the deeper I get in it. So, the chickens, the bees, the goats, I got the tractor. I'm gonna be firing up the garden here. Just putting all these things on top, man. I'm really running out of time. So, but it's all worth it. It's all definitely worth it. It seems like the more I put in, the more reward I get out.
is. I totally agree with you. And as I synergistically stack more and more pieces together, even a loss doesn't hurt as much because there's so much more reward coming back out of the system. So yeah, that's exciting. And that's funny, you're into goats. I think we talked about this on one of the previous nets as well. I also have a Jamaican friend who also makes ridiculously tasty dishes, and the only time I ever tried goat was from a dish that he made, and man, it was as good as or better than venison. So it made me think about that from that perspective. I don't have any desire to butcher them myself, but I understand there's a butcher in Pine Plains that'll do the work. So I'm looking into that. I'm also looking into grass-fed beef, but I think I have some more research and learning to do before I jump into that. But that's definitely something I want to do, in part because of the regenerative agriculture model that works so well with, as far as rotational grazing and stomp and urinate and defecate a piece of land and move to another spot and let it grow back. That is just such an integral part of good regenerative agriculture from my perspective.
KD2 RFI, yeah, definitely. That'd be more a variety of minerals you can put in. It's, same as, I think that's the same as the farmer rotating his crops every year, trying to let certain crops demand certain minerals, and instead of depleting the soil of any particular soil by planting the same crop year after year.
Too serious?
They'll
Sorry.
rotate around. And I know we also touched on another topic earlier about
Dirkshire George, hello!
we're kind of talking about the garden a little bit, and we were talking about planting different things.
Yes, cover crops.
I can't remember exactly what it is, but I know a lot of hay farmers will plant like 3 different types of grasses in their fields, and it actually helps balance out the soil and makes the soil a lot richer year after year for when they're doing their haying, because they do different plants in them basically, and it definitely balances everything out. And when they mow it down at the end of the year and everything just mulches up, it just refeeds the soil and makes it better for the following year.
KD2 and Net Control for Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net. Yes, absolutely. In fact, there's a guy named Gabe Brown who has several YouTube videos out where someone's YouTubed him and put it up. But he gives some excellent talks on using crop diversity and no-till cover cropping. And he says 6 species is really the ticket. 3 is really good, but 6 is really super good as far as diversity and building biomass. And the other thing that you're doing with that is you're also stimulating different types of biology. Each plant has its own preference of biology set, so to speak. So as you add diversity, you add biology diversity, and you start to build soils. Not only do you build soils, but you build fungal and bacterial populations, and you actually build disease suppressive soils, so that then you can't get diseases like Phytophthora and downy mildew and that kind of stuff, because they can't survive with all the good microbes that are in the soil. So there's a lot of awesome pieces that come out of that. So yeah, I'm glad to hear you're looking into that. Something you might consider for that, any kind of a forage crop like buckwheat or corn or anything like that. Those are C4 type plants, so they can photosynthesize both day and night, and they're actually super at building soils, especially combined with a few targeted foliar feeds. Something I'm using this year is sweet corn combined with buckwheat and sweet clover and squash. And actually I should go back and get some beans in there, but I haven't gotten around to that yet. But that's an excellent way to build soil also. And sweet clover is one that's really easy to plant, and it's a biennial, so it'll grow about 6 foot high this year, and then it'll come back next year and grow about 6 to 8 feet high. And it's awesome for honeybees. They love the flowers of it, and they're going in for nectar and pollen as well. So that's something you might consider also. If you want to talk more about that, I can certainly talk about other species of diversity.
Definitely. Well, like I said, as soon as I get the garden up and running, I will definitely be talking a lot about that and different things to plant.
Oranges.
I think I told you I actually got a friend of mine, my daughter's aunt. Actually, she'll be. I think
awesome
she's still
looking, man.
interested in doing the garden. She's got a lot going on in her personal life right want to learn more about, building up the biomass
No-till
of
corn is
soil.
better, I agree.
We talked about the benefits of not tilling as opposed to tilling, and I would love to have a till-free type garden. At this point, I don't know if I have the material to start with. I definitely got enough to start a small garden, but
Till once
the size garden I was planning on,
till in your
I don't
amendments.
quite have enough material to start covering, but I would have to go out and buy some more, and I'm assuming probably get like a 10-wheeler dump truck load up the amount of size garden I want, the thick layer I want in it. KD2, RFI, back to net control.
As it is, KD2, net control for Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net. Yeah, absolutely. And got a comment here on YouTube from Monkey Man again. Said you should till once and then get rid of the equipment. And that's excellent advice if you can manage no-till equipment and manage no-till crops. That does take some experience and practice, so I wouldn't say jump right into that. But one thing I would say is when you go to till, put your amendments down first and till those in, so you have your amendments incorporated into the top layer of your soil. Then plant your cover crops into that. I would plant something like corn and sunflowers, like you said, and then I would go back and put buckwheat and sweet clover and hairy vetch in, and those will come in the under canopy of the corn and protect the soil, prevent other weed crops from growing, and they'll build soil, fix nitrogen, and build good fungal and bacterial populations. But when you get ready to do that, let me know. I'll help you come up with a formula that should knock it out of the park for you.
Outstanding.
All right, Mindy, have a good night.
Forward to it. All right. Well, anyway, I'm gonna step out here. I gotta go finish uploading that video. As you know, I use my mobile unit, so I'm pretty much sitting out here in the driveway, enjoying the lightning bug show right now. It's really starting to peak out here now. I got a little swampy area just to my south end of my property, on the neighbor's property, and they absolutely love that, the lightning bugs. It kind of looks like a fireworks show, so it's very enjoyable sitting here watching them. I am going to go upload that video. I appreciate you putting a link to my other videos in there. I only got a few of them up right now. Like I said, it's slowly coming together. I'll try and keep up on.
We'll talk about corn in a minute, Homestead.
It takes a lot of time to video and put this stuff together. So
one moment,
kind
Mr.
of
George.
tough
I'll
going.
explain that too.
But I'll put them up as I get material together, and hopefully we'll see what comes of it. This next one I got coming up is pretty much our family day last year. Us taking a flying leap. It's a lot of fun. It's pretty cool. I definitely recommend it to anybody. We got a little trip we put together. A couple guys from work and family again. We're going back at it again on July 15th, and we're going to take another ride up to 13,500 feet, and then we're probably going to step out for some fresh air and enjoy the views. A much faster ride back down to earth, so it's pretty cool. It really is a good time. There was a video I watched of, I believe it was that actor, Will Smith, and he's talking about his first skydiving experience, and he looks at the camera and says, God puts some of the greatest things in life just over the edge of fear. So sometimes you got to cross that line to go find them, but it's pretty cool, and it's pretty accurate too. So anyway, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for doing the net, CJ. I'm going to step in, take care of that video uploaded, and I will, like I said, continue collecting footage here and there on my exploits around my little mini farm here, and hopefully we'll be able to start watching the garden grow and get it up and running next year. We'll see if I can get that all documented along with everything else I got going on as best I can. All right, it's KD2, RFI, back to net control. Have a good night, 7-3.
And this is KD2 and net control for the Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net. Well, thank you, Bob. Thanks for joining. Always excellent conversation. Always really enjoyed talking to you. It sounds like we have so many things in parallel. Someone might think we're drag racing. Anyway, hope your next skydive goes well. Enjoy that fresh air and view. I wish I could go along with you. And hope you have a great time. And Hope your bees continue to do well, and yeah, keep moving toward more of whatever we're doing, whatever it is. Anyway, thanks, I appreciate it. Alright, this is KD2IN, Net Control for Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net. This has been a session of the Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net. I'll pause for a sec. We meet every Tuesday night at 9:30 p.m. here on the Overlook Mountain Amateur Radio Repeater, OMARC 805. That's 146.805 Megahertz with a PL tone of 103.5. For more information, you can visit our website for our club at omarcclub.org. That's www.Oscar Mike Alpha Romeo Charlie Charlie Lima Uniform Bravo.Oscar Romeo Golf. Thanks to all those who participated. This is KD2IN saying 7-3 and invite you to join us again next week. Don't forget, we also have nets on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Those are usually run by K2JLV. Thanks to all those who participated. This is KD2IN returning this frequency to regular amateur use. The net is closed. Yorkshire George, I was talking to another amateur radio operator.
K2JLV, this is KD2QAK. Are you there, Dave?
Sorry about that. I was talking to another amateur radio operator who's become a friend over the radio. I've never met him in person, but he's in our area, a licensed ham, and this is a net that I run on the local amateur radio repeater to discuss farming, gardening, and regenerative agriculture and things along those lines. So that answers that question. You said something about your corn, not just the pigs homesteading the hard way. You had something else going on with your corn. What was it? Stink bugs, was it? Can you get some video of that corn, Chris? And what did you do nutritionally for that crop? Oh, my friend. Who are you talking to, Robin? Who cleans up well? If it ain't red, it ain't right. You know, Chris, you keep saying that. Are you saying I should go out and get burned in the sun to be right? Okay. Instead of ham radio, I should do pirate radio. Yeah, except with this, I have a license and I don't risk getting arrested. And with pirate radio, I risk getting arrested or 10 years in jail or a $100,000 fine. I had a huge thing for pirate radio. I wanted to do pirate radio when I was in high school so bad. I never did. Probably a good thing, or I'd probably be rotting in jail somewhere over. Yeah. But thanks on the compliment on the radio voice. I hear that a lot, so I guess it must be true. Oh, you were up 2 days. Yeah, you did look tired in that video, Chris. Won't our crop we get from a buddy every year does a massive crop. Okay. I guess I should shoot some video of my corn as it's coming on now, because it's starting to really take off. I got two different varieties of sweet corn. One is Bodacious, which is an F1 hybrid. You're probably familiar with that one. And the other one is Double Standard. It's an SU sugary corn from Johnny's Selected Seeds. Supposed to be the same days to maturity. It's supposed to be 73 days to maturity, just like the Bodacious. But huge difference in performance between the two varieties. I can tell that they didn't address trace mineral nutrition in their seed crop at Johnny's, which I was surprised, because Johnny's organic, but it shows you that just because it's organic doesn't mean that they're up to the nutritional standard of the crop, let alone the nutritional standard of regenerative agriculture, which is far over and above just organic. Let's see, are there any other questions that I missed or didn't answer in here? I just want to say thank you to everybody. This is an excellent turnout. We had, at one point we had 10 people watching. I think we still got 7 watching now, so I'm really inspired to see that. So thank you to everyone who's participating and watching, and all the excellent comments and discussion going on. Corn blew over from straight line winds. Ugh, yeah, that's frustrating. I lost an entire planting. Well, lost it and then it stood back up, but it never really performed as well after that. a couple years back, 2017, I think that happened. Rained so much you couldn't spray. What do they usually spray homesteading? Herbicide to prevent weeds? Or something for the corn earworm? Because you could switch over to a foliar feed and beat the corn earworm. It's like, well, there's a formula called Photomag from AEA, which meets the nutritional requirements, but it's like, it's phosphorus, I think it's phosphorus, calcium, sulfur, boron, molybdenum, copper, and maybe nickel. Something like that. Stink bugs, okay. You might have to add some molasses to that blend to beat them. But that should do stink bugs and Colorado potato bug, which I know I screwed up last year and didn't prove that. But I might make another try on potatoes this year and see if I get Colorado potato bug and see if I can knock them out with that. I started too late on correcting the problem last year. Planting early beats the worms. Yeah, it can. Well, maybe your area is different. You can beat the worms with foliar feeds if you get the plant health up. They actually can't even attack the plant. But the other thing that I know that they do on organic things is they take and they put like canola oil down the silk of the each emerging corn embryo. Just as it's emerging, just as the silk emerges, they put a little oil in there, and then the moth can't get its egg down in there, and that defeats them too. But I really want to try and beat it with foliar feeds this year. That's my goal, is to get the nutrition of the plants up so they defend themselves. That's really the ticket. Stink bugs have gotten your squash every year. Try planting nasturtiums with those, and cilantro, and I'm trying to think, there's one other companion crop. You might put some dill in there too. Potatoes turned into biomass. Yes. I was way too late. The plant health had declined too much to do what I was trying to do. I should have been on it like a week and a half or 2 weeks earlier. Yeah, stink bugs didn't used to be around here either, homesteading the hard way. Up till about 10 years ago. They've actually migrated all over the place. And we can thank chemical fertilizers in big part for that, because they're basically producing sick plants, and so then the stink bug propagates, reproduces, and attacks the next crop and just keeps spreading that way. Uses potatoes as biomass in his berm hugelculture. Really? So does he not harvest potatoes out of there? He leaves them in as basically a food for the soil? That's interesting. Powdery mildew gets your squash. That can be beat with healthier plants also. The thing is, you get a plant health up really well, it'll start producing its own essential oils. All plants can produce essential oils, and once they do that, they build a waxy sheen on the leaf surface, and then mold and mildew and stuff like that can't penetrate that waxy surface because they can't grow in that essential oil, and so that prevents powdery mildew from getting on the leaves and damaging the plant. The only time any of these pathogenic fungi get on a plant and kill the plant is after the plant is already electrically dead. So that's an interesting thing to note along those lines. Hey, thanks Yorkshire George on a thumbs up. Your broccoli bolted. Second seeding. And it's never too early or too late planting seed as long as you have somewhere for them. Yeah, they can run through some pretty cool weather. Yeah, they're everywhere there now. Yep. Demolish the squash in an hour. Wow. Just planted your second crop of squash and cucumbers. Let's see. I just planted my third last night, and I got one more planting to go. Potatoes with the nasty ones. Okay. Wheaten laps. Alright, I'm going to pull that. buffering. Oh no, not the buffer. Don't censor me and don't buffer me. I hope that's your end, not mine, but it could be mine. Thanks, Monkey Man. I'll check that out. All your information so far has been gold. July and August, you can't plan anything. Yeah, I got to imagine it's so hot down there, it would be hard to get anything established. There must be some warm weather crop you could start down there, though. Or maybe in a hoop house under shade cloth where you can mitigate some of that heat and sun. I know, I'm telling you to go build a whole a whole hoop house and shade cloth, and I don't know, I just think like I just wish we had the kind of sun up here that you have down there. But maybe not the July and August version, maybe the fall and spring version, but extended. Oh, interesting video about biofilm on Michigan Gardener's channel. I'll have to check that out. Got me wall to wall, alright. And I hear I'm on TV at home studying the hard way, so that's a scary thing. Disturbances in the waves due to weather, yeah. You're getting new internet tomorrow, good for you. Yeah, just redesign your yard, Geeky, no big deal. Come on. Pull up the old AutoCAD and just... Then all you gotta do is build a robot to go out and build it for you. You can do that. That's cakewalk, come on. I just put a video up earlier today. I don't know if all you guys have seen it. I know I saw someone had commented already, but I haven't gotten back because it was right before the live stream. But I just put one up today comparing sick plants and healthy plants. My beefsteak tomatoes, I got one plant that's sick for some reason. In with all the others, it's the only plant being attacked by Colorado potato beetle. And the rest of them aren't. They're healthy, rockin'. But this one has been struggling right from the beginning. I suspect that it wasn't a very healthy seed to start with, and so it started from a bad set. But it's interesting to compare healthy versus sick plants. Now that I have plants healthy enough that there aren't all sick plants in my garden or my farm. Saw the notice but haven't watched yet. No worries. Anyway, it's interesting comparison. And you saw it, Robin. Good. Good, good. So that's an example, you know, between healthy and sick plants. And they're in the same soil, been treated the same way, foliar fed the same way, same mulch, same everything. Everything. You were buffering. You said... You mentioned the Michigan Gardeners video on biofilm. I have not seen it. I will definitely check it out. Only thing they bother is potatoes. Is that Colorado potato bug? That's usually the only thing that they bother here, except last year I screwed up and I had a massive block of sick potatoes and they just multiplied hardcore. And so I have potatoes that I saved over from last year to plant this year. But from everything I read on them, if you start late, then you can kind of skirt under the Colorado potato bug when they emerge. And so now I'm just seeing them emerge in the last week or so as soil temps and you know, ambient air temps are coming up. So so the only thing that they have in the Solanacea family that they can attack around here is the tomato plants. And the only one that they attacked was that one sick plant. All the other plants are okay. I know there's more starving Colorado potato bugs out in that plot, but there's nothing for them to eat. So I'm excited about that. Stink bug in your potatoes. Do they actually eat on the leaves or on the roots of the plant, Robin? Or do you just see them in there? Because I see them all over the place around here, but they rarely attack my plants. Or I should say, when they are attacking my plants, I know I'm behind in foliar feeds and I need to get that nutrition of the plant and health of the plant up fast. That can be hard to do. They eat the leaves. Really? Any chance you can grab some video of that, Robin? I'd love to see that. I've never seen that. Anybody else have any other pest pressures going on right now, or disease pressures? Is Monkey Man still in here? Monkey Man, did I share? I don't know if I shared this with everybody, so let me find this link quick here. Part 2. So there's a part 1 to this you probably should see. But I'm going to share part 2 because that's where he goes into beating insects with appropriate foliar feeds. And I think it's something you all should hear if you haven't or aren't familiar with it. As soon as you get in, it's flooded right now. Oh, okay. Well, that doesn't make it any easier. All right, Yorkshire George. Well, thanks for sticking in here till 3 in the morning, your time. Appreciate your participation and coming in and chatting with us. Turning into a wife cave tomorrow. The joyful feeling is running all over me. Awesome. Well, I hope that works out well for you. I appreciate you coming in, Yorkshire George, and I hope you have a good night. I'll have to skip a rock across the pond to you next opportunity. I don't think the bugs even come out in the heat. Yeah, I can imagine. It's crazy hot down there, huh? Stink bugs will get the corn when the ear is small and it curls up like a Cheeto. I'm telling you, Chris, you really ought to try doing some foliar feeds, some targeted foliar feeds. I think you could knock them right out of the game altogether. Ah. Essentially, you take plants, put them in the blender with water, strain it, then dilute the spray on foliage and add biofilm. Okay, yeah, you can do that with inoculants as well. Let's see, Spectrum Extra and BioCoat Gold from AEA are excellent for that. They should be both in and on the soil and in and on the leaf surface of the plant. The leaf surface, also known as the phytoplane, should have bacteria on it. Those bacteria, if they're the right ones, can actually fix nitrogen directly out of the air. You think about it, the air is about 75% nitrogen, 70 to 75% nitrogen. And if you have bacteria on your plants that can fix nitrogen right out of the air, you'll never have a nitrogen deficiency. Then you just have to keep up with the calcium side of things. 10 acres. Well, if you got a boom sprayer, you could foliar feed that with a boom sprayer. That's not a big deal. I'll tell you what, if you hit it at the right critical points of influence, like for corn, for example, days 9 to 12, if you hit it on day 9, and days, let's see, let me just go through this quick. Days 9 to 12, from germination, so you plant your corn, you see it pop up, that little spike coming out when it first emerges, call that germination. 9 days from that, if you put a foliar feed down on that, a targeted foliar feed, correct for the crop, you can increase the number of ears that the plant could potentially have, provided the soil can keep up with it. Then, let's see, days 18 to 21, now you can affect the number of rows on the ear. And then days 38 to 42, you can affect the number of kernels in each row. So when I do my foliar feeds, I actually track from germination, and I make sure I hit a 9-day, an 18-day, and a 38-day foliar feed. I also do foliar feeds every 7 days in between to boost nutrition. But you don't have to do that, especially if you're growing in a field that has really good soil nutrition. I don't have the best soil nutrition here yet. I'm still getting the soil up to par. So I'm kind of compensating for that a bit with my foliar feeds. Anyway, you can really tremendously increase yield. You know that pretty much all corn has the potential for 8 ears per plant. So if you're only getting 2, you're only getting 25% of the yield potential of that plant. With the right foliar feeds and with the right soil treatment, believe it or not, you could get that way up. You may not get 8 ears, that's really hard to hit, but you could probably get 4 to 6. If you're pulling 4 to 6 ears a plant, that's a whole lot more corn at the end of the season. I'm trying to get some up to somewhere between 4 and 8 this year if I can. We'll see how it goes. My soil may not be up to that level yet. It does take time. Undivided attention. Yes and no. Really what it takes is good logging. I have a track log that I track everything in the farm. And when I plant sweet corn, and I wish I had other CPI data for other crops, but I don't. But that same concept goes for all crops. The greatest yield potential shift that you can have is the earliest critical point of influence in the crop. That's why you should have inoculants and trace mineral nutrition available in and on the seed at planting. And during those first few weeks, that's when your most yield potential is affected. And that's part of why I'm doing, I know I got two sets of Roma, thanks Kiki. I got 2 sets of Roma tomatoes that were started in the greenhouse, and 1 set that I planted directly in the soil based on that link I just shared from John Kempf and Nofamass. And we're going to compare yield between the ones that were started in the greenhouse and took that transplant shock, and the ones that were started directly in soil and they won't receive any transplant shock. And if I can keep up with them for the season, and I hope I can stay on point, I would expect their yields to be tremendously higher, having not gone through that transplant shock. So, when he was talking about the ones that he's had that experience with, he was talking about the farmer had transplanted. Let's see, how do you do this? He had transplanted the greenhouse ones out into the field the same day he put the seed in. The ones that were started directly from seed only yielded 10 days later, but they yielded 50% more fruit. So for a 10-day loss, you get 50% gain. And you know, I don't know, like I said, I'm doing an experiment with it this year. We'll see how it does. Hope I can keep my soils and feeds up to par. Problem here, always water. All the nutrition in the world won't help if there's no water or too much. Yeah, and that's why I say you should look at mulches more, homesteading the hard way. I know they're a little bit more management work, but you can really maintain a lot more moisture in the soil. And it doesn't have to be a mulch that you put on. You could plant a cover crop as a mulch, and even that will help tremendously. Oh, you have a video coming out on some greenhouse plants experiment. Good, I'll be looking forward to that, Robin. But yeah, I hear you, Chris. It's hard to keep up on water, man. We get a dry spell here, and all I can do to keep enough water on those tomatoes, it's like they suck it up before you can put it on the soil. So yeah, that water management is tricky, and that's definitely a critical factor, especially when you get plant health up, because they're growing so fast. They really need a lot of water. I think John was talking about an onion crop where they're, I forget what the water volume was they were putting out, but basically when they're watering in the daytime on this onion crop, the onion crop is soaking all of that water up completely. Like, they can't keep up. Drought then flood. That's what we had last year, homesteading the hard way. Oh man, we got hurt so bad last year. It went up to 90 degrees here in like early or mid-May. And it basically stayed hot, with the exception of a few almost frost nights. I think we had one frost night. And then the rest of it was just crazy hot and dry. Crazy hot and dry, to the point where the ram pump ran out of water by early July. I couldn't even run the ram pump. And it stayed hot and dry until about July 15th, which is just 2 weeks long. 2 weeks too long. And then when it flipped, it went wet, and it stayed wet. I mean, it rained right until November when we got our first snow. And then it went back to rain till into December. And then again, early this spring, we had rain pretty heavy. But this year seems to be more normal as far as rain and normal seasonal patterns. So I'm hoping this year will be better. We've had a few, we've had like one good rain, ½ inch to an inch or so every week to 10 days, which just kind of kept us rolling, saved me from having to irrigate too much. Flooded. Yeah, there's just nothing you can do when it's flooded. I have to say, that's one thing I very much like about this farm and most of the other farms I've worked on. I'm on a slope here, so flooding, we don't really have flooding issues here. But when it goes dry, boy, you better have a way to move some serious water volume. That way, yeah, that's the kind of weather we had last year homesteading the hard way. There's just nothing you can do, man. You can't get a crop established, and then if you manage to get it established, it just rains and there's no sun. There's nothing to grow the crop. And then it gets so wet and moldy, and you got plant health down so low because there's so little photosynthesis that they just kind of rot back in the ground on you. I did manage to pull off a pretty good tomato crop last year, despite that screwy weather. But it was a struggle even to do that. I mean, I was hammering foliar feeds and just working to keep them rolling. Hoping this year's a little better. So far, so good. Raised beds is a good solution for that, Robin, yeah. And if you're doing a raised bed and putting soil in there, boy, you can really make a premium mix to put in there. Of course, it's expensive to do that, but once you do it, boy, that's a good long-term investment. I mean, you can put, you know, everything you want in there, including good biology. What you irrigated drown and what you didn't dry it up. Can't win for losing sometimes, huh? Well, I mean, that's what happens when you're homesteading the hard way. Small but expensive garden. Yeah, you know, I shared some foliar feed stuff from Mimsy to get her nutritional deficiencies squared away on her garden. And she went to order and she was like, wow, like, you got expensive tastes. And I kind of laughed because, like, yeah, it's expensive up front to buy good foliar feeds to do what you really want to do. But at the end of the day, it's like the most torque, the most horsepower, the most gain you can get for your buck. Because when you foliar feed, you get about 10 times the gain out of that foliar feed that you would if you put that same nutrition on the soil. So it makes sense to use it in a foliar form if you have a way to manage that. Yeah, you plant a lot and expect some losses, right? Homesteading the hard way. I do that too, and I try to do multiple different crops. So if one crop fails because of weather, maybe another crop who's less susceptible to that weather will come through. That helps even out things. The one thing that I've fallen off of in the past like 5 or 8 years is I used to can and dehydrate a ton of stuff, and I'd save some, and then that way if I had a dead year or 2 years in between, I'd still have like tomato sauce or dried jalapeno peppers or whatever the thing was. And I don't have the setup for it now, and I don't have the time to can and dry now. I need a good Southern Belle to do the canning or help me do the canning. Hint, hint, homesteading the hard way. Yeah, I mean, you know, there's something to be said for being cheap, but there are advantages to spending a little money in the right place and applying it the right way. You can get a lot of massive gains, and it ends up costing you less in the long run. I have to say, the most critical investment you can make is inoculants. Good inoculants. And don't just inoculate once or twice, inoculate several times throughout the season to make sure it gets in there and gets going. That one, like the BioCoat Gold, I did a video back in 2017 on the sweet corn, and man, I'll tell you what, I shot a video, and like 2 weeks later I shot video of that corn again. That video, that corn was like yellowing from the bottom up. It definitely had nutritional deficiencies, and after I put that inoculant on, BioCoat Gold, that stuff turned deep dark green and it just blew up and went crazy. So that was pretty cool to see. Just one inoculant had a tremendous gain. Putting up 10 dozen ears. We put up 2 pickup loads. Yeah, we used to put up a couple like 50-pound bags when I was a kid. But yeah, 10 dozen ears. I'm not getting a knife out for that. I'll just eat it for 10 dozen. Yeah, hopefully a good mix of both. Yep. Frankly, my dear Scarlett. Oh, you saw that video, Robin? Oh, good. Yeah, it was interesting how fast that response was. And going back to that talk from John Kempf, that's one of the things he talked about. He actually ranks priority for what's most effective. I think it was like irrigation water was number one. You had to have good, clean water, low in carbonates and bicarbonates, and then I think next was inoculants, and then biostimulants, and then nutritional amendments, and then foliar feeds. I think I might have that order a little mixed up, but basically it brought me back to like, okay, make sure inoculants go on. And so when I'm doing my foliar feeds, I mix up a little inoculant, I add that in the tank. I'm shooting inoculants, I'm shooting biostimulants, I'm shooting the foliar feeds to target trace mineral nutrition, and I'm getting massive responses. I'll have to go down, maybe tomorrow I'll go down and shoot that first planting of sweet corn and squash. You'll be amazed, it's blowing up, blowing up. I gotta get in there and do some weeding or mulching or something, but really incredible what it can do. So if I make any recommendation to you, I would say get the right inoculants, something like Spectrum Extra or BioCoat Gold or any of the other stuff AEA carries. They have another one that I haven't played with yet, which is a liquid, it's an inoculant, a biostimulant, and I think some trace mineral nutrition as well. It's called Myco 5000. I'd like to pick some of that up because I think that would just really set the fertility fire up. But you know, like Mimsy said, you know, every time you go to order, it's $100. How many $100 can you spend? For me, not that many. So I do a little bit here and a little bit there. Yeah, and I save, you know, I save some of my nutrients over to the next year, and then that gives me a start for the season. And I try to add, you know, pieces in as I learn more. It's a long process, but it's well worth it. I mean, it's yields and gains. It blows people away. People come over and they see my tomatoes at 8 foot high with, you know, a crimson beefsteak like that. Not just one, but you know, dozens of them like that, bright red, super sweet. And you cut into it and it's not watery, and they're just like, how do you do that? Well, trace mineral nutrition, foliar feeds, biology, foster it. Yeah, definitely should look into it for next year, Robin. Yeah, it sounds like you got major flooding this year. I'm sorry to hear that. So frustrating when things go south on you. Anyway, guys, we're sitting here about an hour and 5 minutes, and I got a few more things I got to do. So I think I'm going to wrap this up here. But I appreciate the excellent conversation. Boy, we really got into some good stuff tonight. I'm very inspired that more people are showing up and we're having more intimate and detailed conversation about this kind of stuff. There's so much more to unpeel from the onion here, so to speak. But I feel like we're starting to get to some of the meat of the matter. So I'm very excited. So thank you, everyone, for your support. $75 on all your gardens, even replanting. Very nice. Yeah, that's cheap. That's real cheap. Well, I don't know. I don't know how you'd fit a foliar feed budget in that one, Chris. But it might be worth it. You know what you might do is just get some inoculants and see what that does for you. Anyway, excellent conversation, everyone. Thank you. Thanks, Robin. And good night, everyone. Y'all have a good one. Thanks for watching the Pharmacy Seeds Network. Check us out next week. And don't forget to check out Homesteading the Hard Way's live stream Friday nights. Good night, guys. Love y'all. Peace.